What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new YouTube video with a special surprise. Can you guess what it is already? I hope you can. It's the fact that I'm actually vlogging. Yes, like the camera is physically in my hand and I am walking around and talking with it. How exciting. But I haven't done this in, I don't even want to think about how long. It's probably been at least 3 months. But we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna see where life takes us. So I'm not going anywhere in this vlog. It's just gonna be a chill kind of walk and talk with me through my apartment. I've got some things that I need to do here and tidy up. What I wanted to talk to you guys about was 5 truths that I have recently discovered in my life, applicable to me, that I think a lot of you can probably relate to in your own ways. We're just gonna chat and move through the day. So let's get started with laundry. If you saw the way that this camera is precariously balancing on 2 uneven candles, you would have as much anxiety as I do. Okay, so I have all the ingredients here. I'm just gonna pick them up and show you. I made this smoothie for the first time like a month ago because I didn't have anything but these ingredients. So what we're usually do is I'll do almond milk yogurt, which is right here, 2 squares of dark chocolate. Okay. We're gonna get right to the weird part. I put a frozen banana in, but I put it in with the peel. And you have every right to judge me if you want. And I would judge myself too if I hadn't done this before. But like the banana peel has, first of all, a lot of nutrients in it, antioxidants. It's like really good for you, and fiber, but it's kind of bitter. So listen, you can judge me. We are a judgment-free household over here, but I will not hold it against you if you judge me for putting a banana with the whole peel in. Oat milk, I usually do, but I ran out, so I'm putting in this banana milk, which, by the way, again, not to gatekeep this stuff is amazing. It's milked bananas and sunflower seeds and cinnamon. It's really, really good. I do like a half spoon of ground up coffee beans, which is in here. I'll do a scoop of protein powder. This is vegan and it's peanut butter cookie flavored, so it goes really well. It's also like vegan proteins are thicker consistency, and that helps. I'll do like a good bit of honey in there, a good spoonful of natural peanut butter. I'll do a handful of muesli, which is this stuff right here, and it has dried oats, dates, sunflower seeds, raisins, flax seeds, almonds, and walnuts. So I'll just do like a good handful of that, and then I do a handful of almonds. All right, so while I'm putting all this together, I want to talk about forgiveness. And the thing that I've recently realized about forgiveness is just kind of putting together why people don't usually waste the time or spend the time to try to forgive people when they're hurt or upset. Like if you get hurt, like your feelings get hurt, someone does something that upsets you or betrays you, you know, especially if they did something that is clearly they're in the wrong for, it's so much easier to just write people off as bad people, or to get really aggressive and be like, oh, well, screw them, they hurt me, and to kind of villainize them and to create them like a bad person in your story, when for probably a good bit of time there's a reason that you were communicating with that person in the first place, right? Like they weren't always that villain. But we villainize people, we dehumanize them, we say that they're shitty, and it's because it makes it easier for us to just not have to deal with the fact that we're hurt. I understand the desire to just write people off and to blame people. And to just not do that work. Like, believe me, I understand it. But the problem that I'm also starting to realize now, because I was kind of experiencing something similar, is that when you harden because someone has upset you, you're not going to stay at that level of hard, right? Like, someone hurt you, your heart closes to that person, or you start to associate a certain set of behaviors that that person did. And then the next time you run into someone new, even if it's not that person, like you think that you've healed or you've moved on, and you're in a place to accept them in your life, but you're not, because you never opened up the hardened spot in your heart over that kind of set of behavior, right? Like it can be, this is kind of how trauma originates. And if you don't put in the work to try to forgive people and let things go, eventually you're just going to be the one who's never moving on, because that stuff, like, things just don't magically disappear in your life, in your heart space, and in your soul. Like, you need to process things if you don't want them to own you. I'll put my frozen banana with the peel in. I already know. If I watched this video on the internet, I would be judging. Oh, so good. I want to share a quote with you from a book. Let me get it. So this is called Tiny Beautiful Things, Advice on Love and Life from Dear Sugar by Cheryl Strayed. She goes, "Forgiveness doesn't just sit there like a pretty boy in a bar. Forgiveness is the fat old guy you have to haul up the hill. You have to say, I am forgiven again and again until it becomes the story you believe about yourself. I hope you will." So in this case, she's talking about forgiveness for herself, right? But I think that analogy is still so perfect. Like, forgiveness is not a pretty boy in a bar. It doesn't just come easily. It's a fat boy that you're rolling up a hill. And if you're the person who's in the position to try to be forgiving someone else for how they treated you, that fat boy that you're pushing up a hill, you're going to be pushing that boy up the hill for the rest of your life. And then something else happens, and then you're going to be pushing that one up too. And then eventually there's just this like energetic heft of things that you're holding on to because you thought it would be easier to just villainize people in your story and move on. So like, I understand why people don't put in the effort to forgive, because it's way easier in the short term to just accept that you're hurting and not do that work. But I also understand that that'll probably bite me in the end. So we're working on it now. All right, I'm gonna mix the rest of the ingredients, and then we'll meet back for point number 2, which is on adulthood. Okay, adulthood. I've been in front of, or confronting, I guess, more adult problems in this stage of my life than ever before. My girlfriend and I broke up. An acquaintance from high school recently passed away. My grandfather just passed away. There's been a lot of grief in response to that. My grandparents on the other side of my family are trying to rewrite their will. And so I've just been directly affected, or just generally been more confronted by and aware of adult problems, like my mortality and wills and making money and budgeting and figuring out where I want to live because my lease runs out in a few weeks. And it's just been a lot. Let me tell you, this has been a very challenging season of life. And last night I was over at my parents' house. I wanted to get dinner with my dad, which I never do because his father just passed away. And I was talking to my mom after he left and went to bed, and I just kind of just dissociated, and it all hit me. Like, I just snapped and I realized it all. I realized all of the things that I'm going through now. And I say this as a preamble, not to complain, but it hit me finally. The fact is, when you're a kid, you think that there's this age where everything just starts to make sense and you start to feel really confident, and you're like, I know exactly what I'm doing and why. I know how to do my taxes. I know how to budget. I'm going to do... But you know what the reality is? The way that life works is it never lets you get too comfortable, and it's never going to get too easy for too long. You just keep moving. Everyone is winging it. That's the truth, right? Everyone is winging it. No one knows how to do most of this stuff. If you don't, you Google it, or you hire an attorney, or you figure it out by going to someone who's already been through something similar. You get to a point where you are handling so much, and if you actually pause to try to take a breath of fresh air and surface for a second, and you look around and you realize, like, look, I'm going to the gym twice a day right now to get through this. I am working. I still have my responsibilities as a coworker. I have my responsibilities as a daughter and all this stuff. And there's all of this new stuff that's coming up. But I'm still floating. And I'm still swimming. You just keep moving. There's no secret to this stuff. Everyone's winging it. No one knows what they're doing. We're all just figuring this stuff out by trial and error. There's no golden age in adulthood where things just start to make sense, or you get this gust of confidence or bravado where you know that you're going to have it. You just need to trust yourself at the end of the day to be there for you. The next one is on patching wounds and coping. We all have wounds, right? Like, we all have things that we've experienced. that shape us, that change us, that influence the way that we perceive and behave and interact in the world. And they just create wounds and holes. And what I'm realizing about the human condition, we'll just try to fill those holes with whatever we can possibly stuff inside, hoping that we can find enough stuff or one golden thing that's going to patch that hole, that's going to patch that wound. Spoiler alert, there's not any one thing or any combination of things that's just going to patch that wound. Like, that's a tough one. That's a hard one to digest, but it's true. And what I'm realizing now that I am in an acute stage in my life where I am actively coping, trying to get through all of this stuff because Murphy's Law has recently really decided to sponsor me, you'll play whack-a-mole with whatever it is that you're trying to use to run from doing that work, to try to, like, you just accept those wounds and those holes. That if you don't do the work, you're just going to play whack-a-mole until you run out of things that you're, or ideas for how to patch those holes, or you just get really tired. I think I'm approaching the tired stage of that. Is until you understand your behavior and why you feel the way that you do, all of these things will own you. You won't be free of them. And I am a firm believer that you shouldn't let anything live rent-free in your life, in your body, in your mind, in your social circles. It pays to know why you are the way that you are and why you're doing what you're doing, whether or not you're going to change it. So, all right, number 4. This one's way more lighthearted. Is my friend Caleb sent me this book. Let me get it for you. It is called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. This is essentially just a book of new words that the author has coined, combining words that he's come across in the past, or just new words that he's completely made up on his own that describe feelings that we have or things that a lot of us have experienced but that there isn't a word for. And there's this one in here that I absolutely adored called The Till. Let me read it. The reservoir of all possible opportunities still available to you at this point in your life. All the countries you still have the energy to explore, the careers you still have the courage to pursue, the skills you still have time to develop, the relationships you still have the heart to make. Like a pail of water you carry around in your head, which starts off feeling like an overwhelming burden, but steadily draws down as you get older, splashing gallons over the side every time you take a step. I like to think of it literally as a bucket on top of the head that's so heavy, because I feel like this a lot. I'm only 24. And I understand that my world is just waiting for me. I could do whatever I want. I can keep doing what I'm doing in this same career. I could branch out. I can get a new hobby. I can get a new group of friends. I could do whatever I want. The world is my oyster. While that is beautiful, it is also simultaneously kind of overwhelming and intimidating for me. And this concept of having like all of these opportunities is kind of the bucket on the head that's so heavy and it's weighing you down. I almost get this image or this visual of someone who's so exhausted by that weight, by carrying that weight, that it eventually feels like a burden, and then you just start dumping it as the years go on. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna just stay with these friends because then I'll be able to get more of the weight off my head, until you get to older in life and you get into like those older years and you're able to carry that weight maybe a little bit easier, but it means that there's fewer opportunities in the bucket because you're older. It's helped me kind of think about and validate that pressure and that heaviness that I feel with understanding that the world is my oyster, because I feel the pressure and intimidation to not wanting to waste that. But then I also understand that as we get older, that weight decreases because we're throwing that water off to the left and off to the right, and we're spilling it wherever we go. And it's just a conscious reminder to me to be really aware of where I'm putting my energy, and I hope that I'll look back on that till at the end of my time and say I spent it in the right ways because they honored me at every stage of the journey. Even if those stages change as I went along and where I thought my energy was most valuable changed. That's okay. We're human. Cheers to being human. Point number 5 is on being single. Being single is new for me, really. I got into a serious relationship when I was 19 that I was in for almost 3 years. In that process, coming out of that relationship, I came out. I realized that I was into women. There was a 5-month downtime between my relationship with my ex-boyfriend and my now ex-girlfriend. And then I was in a relationship for almost 2 full years. I'm realizing that I get to morph and I get to change. And I don't remember the exact video that I watched on TikTok. Let me pull up my phone. There's this girl that I follow on TikTok, and she posts like rules for the week, like rules for this, rules for being single, rules for going on dates. Like that's kind of how she blew up. And she made a rules for being single. One of them, point number 6 in this list, was play around with rebrands. And I am rebranding myself heavy. I dress differently. And not only do I say that I dress differently, like I went from A to B, I went from A to B, and B's on the table, and C's on the table, and D's on the table. Some days I dress really femininely, some days I dress really masculinely. Some days I do both in the same day, and it is not remotely consistent. The things that I do, the things that make me laugh, I want to go to the bar, I want to read a book. I'm all over the place. I'm constantly morphing. I'm constantly changing. What I'm realizing on being single that I love is that I have the freedom to do that. And that's not to say that people, when you're in a relationship, aren't as, don't want to see you grow and don't want to see you change or branch out. But you can't be like rebranding yourself every 3 weeks in a relationship. You can't be like, oh, I'm this today, oh, I'm that today, every single day for the rest of your life, because that partner is eventually going to be like, I don't know who you are. Like, you're not who I fell in love with. You're not who I thought you were. Even if that's a good thing and you're growing, it's just really, that's stressful and that's hard for somebody else to manage. And I get to do that now completely. And I realize just how important that is because I am so easily influenced. And my problem, or something that I really want to work on in this state of being single and really loving that and just fully immersing myself in that fact of life, I am not good at being who I am alongside someone else. I'm so easily influenced, and I constantly still chase, consciously, yes, and also subconsciously, the validation of the people around me. And so if I'm with somebody and they, I ask for something as benign and harmless as advice on like what outfit looks better, then I'm gonna know that that's the outfit that looks better, and I'm probably gonna wear that again because someone has fed me that opinion. What I'm realizing is that it's important at this age to be me and to figure out what that is and to rebrand over and over again and to just get comfortable in my skin and understand that no matter how much I change, at the end of the day, I am fundamentally who I am. I'm just changing the presentation of me. These rebrands aren't changing the morals of my life or the ethics of my life or who I am at a fundamental level, but I get to just kind of have this revolving door, and the cycles are so fast nowadays. And I love that. I hope that one day I can be exactly like this, alongside someone else. To not be tempted by letting their love fill the wounds that I have inside. Because I know that when someone loves me, it's just way too easy to let that love be the patch job for my wounds. And to say, no matter what, I know that this person loves me, or this person is validating me because they care for me. And I'm not in a state where I can be this version of me, this embodiment of me, this freedom, this free-spiritedness, this all over the place nature alongside someone else and still honor me at the depth of which I'm honoring myself now and just going with the flow now. And I hope one day it's not mutually exclusive. At the current moment in my life, it is, and I'm rolling with it. I'm happy to be here, and we're going to see where this life takes us. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you like the video, then please drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to finish this. So you can tell it takes me quite some time to eat nowadays because my appetite is non-existent. But we're rolling with the punches. Love you. I wish you well. I hope your season of life is treating you okay. Just keep it moving. Bye. Why did I just blow the camera kiss? I don't regret that. Rebrands. Bye.